I go to Middle College High School. So like working with those students and low income students, I hope to bring that perspective as we're discussing funding. So yeah, I'm really excited. And I'm gonna pass it off to Kevin.
Hey guys, my name is Kevin Hugh, and I'm from Lawrenceburg, Tennessee. I go to Lawrence County High School. I hold multiple leadership positions. I'm the state president for Skills USA, and I'm the president of my chapter of Key Club, and also the vice president for FBLA. I'm excited about getting to know you guys better, and also to contribute to the process of like revising or finding a new funding program for the state of Tennessee. And oh, what was the last thing that I did include? Oh yeah, what can I
I'm
contribute?
so sorry. Am I still sharing my screen?
Yeah, you are. But I remember now. I hope to contribute by. I'm from a small rural town called Lawrenceburg, Tennessee. There's not really a lot of people here, and I hope to contribute my opinions about like many people down here don't want to go to college and stuff. So like the funding should be changed. I think that it should be revised to fit the students here, and also depending on like if they're from urban or rural, and also like what the students here want to do. So I hope to contribute by because I'm from a rural area, my opinions. And I'm gonna pass it on to. Here. I'm gonna pass it on to Manzi Patel.
I've already went. If you wanna choose another person real quick.
Oh, I'm trying to look at the list.
Harrison hasn't gone yet, and he's right next to you.
Okay, go ahead, Harrison.
Thank you, Kevin. I'm Harrison Falkovsky. I'm currently serving as the Tennessee FFA State President this year. I'm a freshman at the University of Tennessee at Martin. I'm studying agricultural education. So one thing I'm looking forward to bring to this committee is kind of my viewpoint and how FFA and agriculture have affected me, as well as truly making a difference in these students' lives. I know that we all have some type of heart or calling for servant leadership because that's where we're at right now in our current CTSOs. So being able to make an impact for our students, and then I'm hoping to contribute just that viewpoint that I said earlier of my background in FFA and agriculture, and be able to just make that difference. And then I will call on Garen.
Garen, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
We can.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm Garrett Hamby again. I apologize for a little inconvenience there. But I am from Eagleville, Tennessee. I'm actually living in Cookeville right now, and I attend Tennessee Tech. Like Harrison, I have an ag background. I was very engaged in FFA as a teenager. I guess I still am a teenager. And me and him have had a lot of engagement time together throughout FFA. That's only been a life changer for me. I guess my role in this whole process, I'm actually the student member on the State Board of Education, which has been a really life-changing process for me. Something I really love to engage in. So I guess something I would like to learn out of this process is, how deep do like the roots go for, BEP funding and things along those lines. I'm obviously being a part of the state board. I have a general idea of what happens, but I'd like to learn a lot more in terms of what I can contribute. Again, the ag background and maybe having a bit more experience being in a role like this. I've been on the state board for a little over a year now. I think like about a year and 2 months. So is there anyone else who hasn't gone yet? I think a lot of us have already gone. Am I the last one, or is there someone else that hasn't gone yet? If you haven't, speak up, because I'll call on you. I think that's everyone then.
Sounds like it might be everyone. I'm telling you, y'all are a rock star team. I'm so excited to get to work with you. It's so exciting to hear what you're involved in and the impact I know you're making in your communities and your schools. And Comfort, I've just got to say, this is just a little something about me. I know you said you were involved with student council. I was student council advisor for about 15 years. And so it's a wonderful organization too, as are all. I've got daughters who are involved with DECA who were years ago. And so it's just going to be real exciting for me to hear everything that you all are involved in and to see how it's evolved since my children were there and since I was there. I've been with TDOE since 2013. So it's going to be very refreshing. We're going to move on into some of the discussion. Elizabeth, I'm going to let you walk us through this through the lens of the committee, and then we're going to move into some of the next slides to some of the things that you all can discuss among each other.
All right, I'm going to pull up this lens on my phone so I can see it a little closer. Okay, so like the first bullet says, it says the specific and unique goals and needs of the student groups. And I know a lot of you were saying that you're from different areas. So I'm really looking forward to hearing your viewpoints because we're going to hit on just about every single one of them because all of us are involved in different things and we're from different places. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then it also says the goals and specific supports needed for students to be successful in specific areas represented by the committee, such as post-secondary readiness. And I know personally, I am very passionate about the post-secondary readiness part because at my school, obviously, I'm very involved in CTEs and CTSOs, and those are really important in aiding for that post-secondary readiness. And then the last bullet, the needs of all learners along with specific student groups based on the experiences and expertise of practitioners who work with students every day, such as the teacher advisory, student engagement, and district leadership committees. I think that all of us will bring something unique to the table when it comes to this because, like I said earlier, we interact with students every single day, and what some students need are different than what other students need. So I think that's really important. And I encourage all of you to reach out to students at your school. I know that I went to my student council the other day and I said, hey, you know, what do you want to see happen? What's something that you're passionate about and you want to see more money go to? And students love that opportunity to share with you. And I think that's so important that we can bring back and share with each other. So I think that's about all I have for the lens.
Okay, this is where I'm going to insert the, you remember I was telling you about the other PDF that will give you, if you haven't had an opportunity to look at it, it will give you a lot of information that will clearly identify and spell out what it is you'll be doing. These slides go into what is school funding, a whole section on school funding. And I won't take time to go through all of this, but I wanted to point it out so you will have time to go back in and investigate on your own. But if you see something as I'm scrolling through, I want you to ask me to stop. Several of the subcommittees that I'm facilitating have asked about additional resources. Lots of resources here about 50 state comparisons and what the different models that are out there. So these are some really good resources for you to dive into. I don't know if you've heard about our town halls that the commissioner's leading across the state. I think we have 2 left. I know there's 1 left in Gibson County. Is there somebody from Gibson County? Isn't there someone? Is there somebody on our on this panel that goes to South Gibson High School? I can't. If you're raising your hand, I can't. Is anybody there? No. Okay, I thought I saw them.
Oh,
Is there?
Tedibia, she goes there. She's the host of President-elect, but I haven't seen her tonight.
Who is that?
Tedibia, she's the host of President-elect.
Yes. Okay. I thought I remembered seeing that because that's one of my districts, so that sparked my interest. So there's going to be a town hall. One of the two remaining is in Gibson County. All of these are recorded. Scott may be able to tell you exactly where these are. So if you have time in your busy lives, you might want to go back and take a look at some of these town halls. We're gathering feedback. You all are going to help us gather feedback, and these town halls have been gathering feedback for us. TDOE has also put out a lot of information, toolkits. We have school funding ambassadors, Vanderbilt. There's a Vanderbilt poll, school funding national and state experts. So TDOE supported public engagement has been involved in a lot of this already. We are also involved with facilitating the engagements, like I said, the town halls. Your superintendents of your schools and of your districts have a monthly meeting or bi-monthly meetings. We are getting feedback from them. I actually chaired a subcommittee today that was made up of only school directors, district directors. So here we get to your roles and responsibilities. I think this might be of all the sections. There's some informative sections, but this is pretty interesting. And I really wanted to take a look at this. So Elizabeth, would you mind taking the group through a few of these slides about their role and responsibilities?
Of course. So we will facilitate subcommittee meetings. Oh, where did it go? There it is. We'll also work with the Tennessee Department of Education assigned support staff who will ensure meeting invites and agendas are sent, meetings are recorded, and meeting recommendations have been accurately captured for committee comment and approval. And I want to pause right there and encourage you all to watch the town hall meetings. I know I got to attend one about 2 weeks ago, and it was just really insightful and really neat to see different viewpoints. And so, like she said, those are recorded, and I encourage you to go watch them and just hear different views from members of that community. We'll also ensure all voices and perspectives represented on the committee are heard, as well as other sources of public input related to the topic area. And then last, sign committee recommendation form to be submitted to the steering committee. I think you're muted.
When I'm having some technical difficulties, as we always do when we share. I think you can see this now. These are some more of the roles and responsibilities. And Elizabeth, I'll just let you continue.
Actively engage in committee meetings related to the topic and provide the lens of the community or group represented. We will also collect additional feedback from stakeholders and share that feedback in writing and in commentary during subcommittee meetings. If desired, we will provide a signed set of written recommendation to be attached as an addendum to the committee recommendations. And then last, select a vice chair in the case the chair is not available for a subcommittee meeting.
So we've already had that happen with some of our one of our subcommittees. The chair couldn't be there, so the facilitator was able to reach out to the vice chair. Well, actually, there was no vice chair at the time, so that's why we feel like it's necessary to have someone volunteer to be a vice chair. So does anybody want to volunteer? This is only if the chair cannot be there. Going forward, Elizabeth, you and I will connect in just a quick call, 15-minute call, talking about what we'll share at the next meeting. If Elizabeth can't do that, I would connect with the person that decides to be the vice chair. But I know Elizabeth will do her very best to always be here, but things come up. So is there anyone that would volunteer?
I'd like to.
Is that Hadley?
That
I
was
see a
Karen.
hand.
My hand is raised too. We've got a couple of them.
Wonderful.
Yes, I've seen a few people's hands raised. So
Okay.
Yeah, you have like 6 or 7. So I'm just going off of who I saw first was Comfort, but yeah.
I tell you what, I would like to note all of these, all of you, as a vice chair. So Hadley, could you share with me your last name?
Brown.
Okay. Comfort, your last name, please.
Markway, Markwei.
Okay. Anyone else? I can't, just because I can't see.
I'll go next. My name's Mansi Patel, Patel.
Okay.
And I'll follow her. My name's Garen Hamby.
Okay.
And I'll go ahead and go. My name's Ella Pligo, Paligo. Paligo.
Okay. Anyone else?
Then Harrison Falkovsky, Falcofsky.
Okay. This will help us tremendously. And if I know the commissioner, she might have a role for all of you at some point. So like I told you, she's very excited about this subcommittee and all of you participating. So I will share this. I'll be sure and share this with Scott's on here so he can share it with the commissioner's office as well. But I will share this in my feedback. So thank you all. So Elizabeth, one more slide, the subcommittee focus area, if you don't mind sharing this.
absolutely. While every subcommittee is welcome to discuss any number of recommendations, subcommittees will be asked to focus on specific components of the formula. First, some subcommittees may focus primarily on the base and what is needed for every student in the state. Some subcommittees may focus primarily on the needs of specific student groups, typically found in the weights and not applicable to all students. Some subcommittees may focus on targeted resources that could be included in the base, in the weights, and/or as a general dollar allocations.
Okay, so you all see a little bit about what you're going to be asked to do. It's a pretty big role, and I'm gonna go back over to the slides in today's conversations. One of the things that I'm doing is as we meet and talk, if you all have questions or you need other additional resources, I make a note of that and I'll share that back with the team at TDOE. So as we've gone through this and we've talked about this, are there any other additional materials or resources that come to mind that might help you with this? And sometimes you just don't know what you don't know yet, and we're not far enough into it. Also, but hopefully by Friday, I think I remember hearing by Friday, we'll be sending you a list of all of the topics for the upcoming meetings, for the 5 meetings that you'll be involved in. And some of the questions that you have or might have at some point could possibly be covered in some of those topics. So like I said, we don't know what we don't know. But is there anything right off the top of your head that you can think of that you might need materials or resources?
I have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I know there's 18 subcommittees total. We are obviously the student one, but there are one that I saw that stood out to me. It was like the children with disabilities. Obviously, those are not students engaging with the Tennessee Board of Education, but would we receive briefings or just know what they are discussing as well? Because I feel like that applies to what we are going to be discussing in the subcommittee.
Scott, would you be able to speak to that?
Was the to clarify, the question is on would you know what other subcommittees are discussing?
Yes, exactly.
Yes, so all the subcommittees are recorded, and then we through the newsletter that goes out, share in there some of the common themes that we're hearing, either from the public town halls or from subcommittee meetings. And so you all will be aware of what the other subcommittees are discussing as well.
Okay, perfect. That's good to know.
Good question. Thanks for asking. Anyone else?
I have a quick one. Would it be possible for all of us as students to start a group meet or a group chat just so we can share what's going on in our schools and bounce ideas off each other throughout the week?
Oh, yeah, I think I don't see that would be a problem at all. A couple of other groups are talking about starting their own communication system. Yeah, so that's perfectly fine.
If you all will, what works best for you guys? Because that would be great. But what platform would work best for you guys? GroupMe?
I think GroupMe should be the.
Yes,
yeah.
I would say GroupMe.
GroupMe.
Yeah,
Okay, so will you guys put your
Phone
information
numbers.
in the chat, and then we can do that. Thank you, guys. That's a great idea.
Hey, I just want to make sure here for I guess law-wise, the Sunshine Act kind of limits what we can say publicly. I want to make sure things that are discussed in there can be public in a sense there, because I want to make sure we don't get caught up in the law here. So I know for the state board we can't discuss things outside of a meeting in regards to the agenda. So I just want to make sure we aren't going to get out of line there.
So I guess mainly what you all can clarify this for us. So mainly what you're talking about are ideas of how to gather your feedback, maybe, or is that, or just clarifying questions that might come up?
So I believe on the state board we can't discuss certain things off of camera, right? Or it all has to be on a public forum. So I want to make sure we can discuss certain things on there without getting into like legal issues there. So I just want to make sure.
So Scott, you advise, because I'm not familiar with GroupMe at all. I don't have any idea what that is. So you advise the group as to yes, they should, or no, they shouldn't.
Yeah, you probably don't need to.
I think let's take that question down.
I was gonna do it.
And we can circle back with everyone.
Okay. Yeah, that's what we'll do. We'll, before you share any information, let Scott and I take these questions back to the team at TDOE, okay? And then I'll get with Elizabeth and she can share. How about that? Is that all right?
That sounds great. Thank you.
Okay. But I'm thrilled that you all are so anxious to dive into this. So let's take a look at, this is one of the last questions we'll take a look at. What do you hope, and you don't, everybody doesn't have to share their thoughts on both of these. If there's one of these questions that resonates with you or that you'd like to share with the group, feel free. What do you hope to be true for students in Tennessee? And then what resources are needed to support the students or perspectives you represent?
I'll start this. So personally, as a student leader in FBLA, I hope students feel adequately prepared for a workplace and for post-secondary education. And I want students to feel like they can get involved in what they want to and not be confined to one certain path, not be confined to just business or just medical classes. So I want them to be involved in what they want to get involved in. And I think that it's important for teachers to really be passionate about what they're teaching and to really focus on preparing students, and not for it to just be a class to teach just because they have to. You know, I want them to feel passionate about it. And so I want students to be able to get involved in what they want to and not be so pressured to know what they want to do in the long term, because in college, I think the average number that students change their major is 3 times. So I think high school is a really great place for being able to explore your career. And then I'll call on Hadley. I see her hand raised.
I just have a small thing to add to the end of that. The resources that say that you don't have to go to college. It's new that people have started saying that it's okay to want to pursue something that's not college after you graduate from high school. So giving students the opportunity to say, hey, I'm going to go to a technical school. Hey, I'm going to go to a 4-year university. Hey, I'm going to try and get certified in my chosen career path so that I can start working right away. And those are all viable options that our students need to know that they have, because they're available to them. So a small thing goes right into what Elizabeth said. I'll go ahead and call on, how about Kevin? I see your hand up.
Yeah, I'm just gonna add on to what Elizabeth said. I agree with everything that she said. Like most of my students, most of my peers at my school want to go to like a 2-year technical school, but like most of the subjects and courses at my school are like pushing them to go to college or like universities, and they don't have enough money, funding for like CT programs such as like welding and manufacturing or like construction. That's what they really want to do, but we don't have like adequate resources to push them to go to a 2-year technical school. And I see, let me check. Manzi Patel, your hand's raised.
Yes, I think everything that has been mentioned so far will be greatly appreciated to the students in Tennessee. But one thing I hope to be true for all students in Tennessee is that their voice is heard. Again, I come from a more rural city, a more rural county in Tennessee. I definitely think my opinions and my stance differs than everyone else, and I hope that everyone feels heard at the end of this subcommittee and at the end when we reach the General Assembly and redo this formula. I will pass it to, I see Zoe T.
As true for all, like I just hope that students are able to kind of pursue what they would like to without restraint. But like one of the things I am most passionate about and bring a lot of experience from like my own community is the ability for students to access the basic needs such as quality textbooks, teachers in the classroom, that type things that kind of are centered around funding. But being accessing for all students, despite like socioeconomic factors or where you live or any other things might go into it. But I believe that funding plays a huge role in that. So that's what I'm excited to advocate for. Oh, and I will pass it to Ella.
Yes, I would agree a lot with funding to be able to give students the resources they need to excel. And I also like to do a lot of work with mental health, and it's been proven so many times that students that are involved excel and are happier more. So I hope that we can just provide opportunities for every student to find an organization or a group that they can feel involved in and loved, and that they can truly strive to do their best in. And I will pass it off to Garen.
Well, thank you. First of all, I want to touch on something that Zoe said I thought was like phenomenal, and that's about student choice. Something I noticed in my high school when I was still in high school was a lot of students chose their pathway their freshman year of high school or towards the end of their 8th grade year, and they're locked into that pathway until the end of their junior year. Something I'd like to see change, I guess, over time. I mean, whether 5 years from now or hopefully sooner, would be to have the option of students change maybe, their sophomore year if they really don't like it. And there was a kid, I believe in my sophomore ag class that was just not a fan of ag, and he wanted out of there, but he had to be in there for an extra year. So that's another aspect I think is really, really important. And then one other thing too, I think having the diversity of programs inside schools is also incredibly important. If I compare Blackman High School in my county, which has a lot of options, you have culinary stuff to ag, to DECA, etc. And compared to my high school, there's maybe a bit less options. So maybe there's less of a role for or I guess not role, but category for students to fall into. So I wouldn't mind seeing more options maybe in those more rural areas. And I guess, let me check the list. Comfort, I guess you're next.
Yeah, so building off of that, when you talked about Blackman versus Eagleville, so I go to school in Murfreesboro, so I'm familiar with both of those schools. I see them all the time. I live in Smyrna. And I think that touches on equity is the word we're looking for there, with programs across the board. So schools like Oakland and like Blackman, who are very rich in programs, schools like Stewart's Creek that have, culinary arts and business and finance, and they have criminal justice and forensics. And it would be easier for a student at Stewart's Creek to go into mechanics, because they have an actual mechanic shop built into the school where they bring in like old cars from parents and family members to practice on. Whereas a school like mine, who is so focused on college prep, that we tend to neglect those, you would call them CTEs and extracurriculars. So I think bringing attention to the lack of CTEs and the lack of non-traditional CTEs in such schools, and circling back to how that impacts equity distribution in schools like Eagleville versus Blackman, is a key thing that we can really touch on and work on here. So I'm glad you brought that up. Harrison, yeah, sorry.
Thank you. Yeah, so I actually went to Stewart's Creek, and like you were saying, there's a large diversity of different CTE programs at that school. Recently, we actually just lost one, so we no longer have informational tech or IT because we had a lack of teacher recruitment and retention, which I think is also a big thing that our committee could talk about and ways to kind of combat that. I feel like that directly relates to student experience, student involvement in Tennessee, because without teachers, you're not going to have students to actually be in that class. So being able to maybe go through just ways that we've experienced to kind of keep teachers involved and or to even recruit new ones out of college into fields of teaching CTE organizations. But Garen, is your hand raised from earlier, or is this a new one?
This is a new one. I want to be annoying again. So you mentioned something earlier about teacher retention. On the state board, actually on Friday, we're going to have one of our workshops where we're going to be talking about teacher burnout and how to combat that. So any comments y'all may have today, tell me here, or I believe it's legal to tell me via my phone number. So if you have any concerns or comments, please let me know on ideas on how to combat teacher retention and how to keep them in, because I know right now it's hard. It's hard to find teachers, and B, it's hard to keep them around, just because for a multitude of factors. COVID has not always been the easiest factor there. So just want to make that comment really quick. Thank you, Harrison.
Is there anyone else that wanted to share? I apologize that I can't see the screen.
I just have a question. Would the group me invitation have gone to our phone numbers? Did y'all get a text?
My apologies. I thought I created one, but apparently it didn't do what I thought it was doing. I was doing it through the web app, but I think we're going to hold tight and get clearance before we can actually establish the group. So I'll be sure to save a copy of this text thread so that I can make sure we have everyone's contact information in the event that the group me is approved to be started. Is that cool with everyone?
So as we wind down our call, I want to just give you a preview of what's going to happen in your next meeting. At the next meeting, you all will receive your first batch of content for review. you usually receive this 1 week in advance. I'll check the next slide. It's got your next meeting, and it may or may not be, for this first time, it may or may not be, because of the Thanksgiving holiday, it may not be exactly a week. You should review the content in addition to feedback that you've individually collected. And if possible, please also submit collected materials for the full group to consider. And when I believe the way we've done this in the other subcommittees, as you gather feedback and you start reaching out to folks, they share information with you. There is an email item. I'm not sure all of you have this. There is a link or an email address, tn.edu. Scott, you've got it right in front of you, and I don't have it in front of you. .funding. Scott or Stephen, both of you may have that. I will share that with you all for sure. I'll get that email address, but that's where we'll send all of our feedback, all of your feedback. And in reviewing the materials, you'll need to categorize the feedback and resource ideas into one of 4 groups. Be prepared to discuss the recommendations of must-have for the student groups that you're, or the groups that you're representing, should-haves, nice-to-have, or others. And then the guiding question for next meeting discussion will be, over the next 2 weeks, how does the subcommittee want to solicit or collect feedback to answer these questions? So we'll talk about all of those things in our next meeting. That meeting may be next week. Again, I'll have to go to that next slide. Yeah, November the 18th. Yeah, right before Thanksgiving. So I believe you're going to be receiving another email from me with some information about the following meeting. So you'll have time to dig into all of those materials and to see, start reaching out and gathering your feedback. So you'll probably, I think they said that might be ready Friday, which means hopefully it'll be ready on Monday, but you will be receiving, it could be over the weekend, and we work all the time. So we'll get that to you just as quickly as we have it. And I don't think we'll have to worry about the files being too large. They're gonna fix that. They're gonna put that in our SharePoint, and I'll just share a link with you that you can access. So does anybody have any questions? I want to be able to see all of you before we go. I know without a doubt why each of you were chosen for this role. You are outstanding. I'm blown away. I can't wait to tell the commissioner and the team, the TDOE team, how phenomenal y'all are as a group and individually. I suspect, Stephen, that we will have a lot of TDOE friends who are going to want to join this group, because my goodness, I'm really speechless with the mature thoughts that you all have. And if we could just listen to the thoughts of a child, would it be wonderful? You all have such great thoughts. And so you all are going to set this on the path to success, I know. So thank you all. Does anybody have any questions before?
I do have a question, and I'm just asking if it causes too much stress, then we can disregard it. But I know that 3 of us on this call will be traveling to Boston next week. We'll be there Thursday through Sunday. Is it possible for this meeting that's scheduled for next Thursday to also be next Wednesday? Or does that throw a monkey wrench in anybody else's plans? And if it does, we can pivot and adjust next Thursday.
What I can do is share with Victoria and the team that 3 of the members are going to be traveling, and that you really want to participate, and I really want you to be able to participate. There may be some other something scheduled already on top of that. So let me just share that with Victoria, and they'll come up with a great plan to include everybody. Make sure. So there's you, Stephen, and 3 of the students.
Yes, it will actually be me, Hadley, and Monty will be traveling, and we actually get to Boston that, I think, late morning. Correct me if I'm wrong, ladies. We have a pretty jam-packed schedule, but if we need to pivot and carve out the necessary time to find a quiet space, we'll be there. But, if Wednesday is even possible, provided that it's convenient for the entire group,
Okay.
then that would be a whole lot better for the three of us in
I
particular.
certainly will.
On
Thank you.
that same note, I know that the state data convention is also on Thursday, the 18th through the 20th. I don't know how many of you participate in Beta Club, but that state conference is taking place on that date. However, I would request maybe Monday over Wednesday, Monday or Tuesday over Wednesday, if possible, and if that works with the rest
I
of
tell
the
you what, probably Victoria, Chelsea, I feel like the team at TDOE might possibly send out another doodle poll for you all to fill out just for next week. We'll keep it on our same original schedule, but maybe just for next week, change that. So I'll tell her that multiple members of this group are going to be out next week. Hadley, did you have also a conflict?
No, I just have a quick question.
Huh?
So all the students here are obviously either in high school or in college, and we're here because of our activity in the CTEs. Is when we're collecting our feedback, do we also need to be collecting feedback from the elementary school and middle school levels as well? Because I know our primary focus is high school, but I don't want to leave out that huge group if that's something we need to be looking at as well. Just a clarification.
All right, I will write this question down. Stephen, do you have any insight in that?
I do not. That's a great question for us to
Yeah,
get
it is.
clarity on.
Yes, I will ask that. Every subcommittee has multiple questions that's coming out of it in this introductory meeting. So they're trying to figure out a protocol, a way to get those answered and get them back to you just as quickly as possible. And it could be that it will be on the next call. Or it could be that we're going to send you an email that's going to answer all of your questions from your team. But very good question, and I will write that one down and share with the team.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Garen, did you have a question?
I do. Stephen, did you get a text from Stina about me being off the email list by chance? It's my email. I think my email got left off that list.
I don't think I see Stephen on here anymore. He may he may have had to leave us. But Garen, I will make sure that you are on the email list.
Awesome. If you need my email, I can always send it to you. It is in the TN.gov network, but if you need it, I can always send it to you.
Will you send that to me, please?
Sure. But you want by email or just in the chat real quick?
That'd be fine. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, anybody else? Stephen, do you have anything else? Oh, I said Stephen was gone. The other one, the other TDOE that joined us. Stephen, do you have anything else?
No, I think I'm good. I'm actually very excited about this entire ordeal. I think we're probably going to get way more than what we anticipated getting. Just seeing how bright and sharp each of these students represented will be over the next several weeks. I'm very gung-ho about learning what your perspectives will be as you represent students like you and represent students who aren't necessarily like you, and just being the voice and being that advocate for the students of Tennessee. I think we have just a premier group of students to tell that story. So I'm really excited about participating and listening and learning. And being proven wrong, I'm going to shoot for 3 times, Hadley. Prove me wrong 3 times.
Thank you all. It's such a late hour for you. I know you're tired, and I know that every one of you have more meetings that you have to attend today or studying, I'm positive. So thank you again for your engagement. We're so excited to be able to work with you, and I'm honored to be your facilitator. So we'll talk soon.
Thank you. It was great meeting all you.
Have a great one.
Good night, everyone.